Disclaimer: this isn't a substitute for medical advice. Listen to your doctor.
My dearest brothers and sisters. This is Hakann speaking. I greet you in peace and love. Some beneficial practices for good health are the following. Drink distilled water. A water distiller may be a good buy. Sleep sufficiently. This channeler often tries to go to bed at 9 p.m. so that he can sleep for 9 hours and then wake up at around 6 a.m. to go to work. Plus, this way he's closer than most people to sleeping while the sun is down and waking when the sun comes up. If you're a night owl, things might be harder for you, but even then it's important to get enough sleep in some way. Keep your stress levels down. Spend time in nature. Take at least a few slow deep breaths every single day. Don't spend too much time looking at things that make you angry or upset or sad. The world doesn't benefit from you getting outraged about things on the internet. Ground yourself. Just walking through nature with modern shoes doesn't suffice, so sit down in nature. Touch the soil with your bare feet. Or buy a grounding sheet or earthing sheet. The channeler has one and is really benefiting from sleeping on a grounding sheet. Eat plenty of fruit. Fruit has plenty of vitamins and fiber and is an excellent source of carbohydrates. Your body's primary fuel source is carbs, and your body needs more carbs, and less protein and fat than the average Western person thinks. Also note that fruit is just about the only food that comes directly from nature and that tastes good to you when it's uncooked and unprocessed, thus further illustrating the health benefits of fruit. Meet your needs if possible, including psychological needs. Don't just assume that your needs are what society tells you they are. Instead, observe and listen to whatever arises in you. And meet them if possible. Trying to suppress or transcend your needs via willpower doesn't work. The only thing that can work is identifying and meeting an even deeper underlying need. So for example, if you feel that you need a luxury car, but then identify that your actual need is receiving love, and you then indeed receive love, your need for a luxury car might vanish. Also meet the needs of your inner parts if possible. So if part of you wants to spend time with your friends and part of you wants to stay at home, ideally try to find some form of a win-win. For example, you do go to your friends, but you schedule some alone time later that week. Even if you really can't meet the desires of one part of you, at least try to just observe and not judge that part of you. So if you choose to go to your friends and you don't have room in your calendar for some alone time later, at least don't tell yourself that it's stupid to want alone time. Being kind to your inner parts also means that you don't deny that you have them. For example, if you feel that you are better than another person, then you don't need to say that out loud, but it is psychologically and spiritually healthy to observe that and accept that you have those thoughts and emotions. Observing and accepting that you have so-called bad or so-called unspiritual thoughts or emotions will actually weaken them, whereas denying that you have them will cause them to fester. After all, denying that you have certain thoughts or emotions is resistance, and what you resist persists. And if you're worried about damaging your relationships with others, well, if you feel judgment about someone or you feel superior to them, it's best for your relationship that you quietly observe and accept that you feel that way, and then focus on having your words and actions be loving. And if you need to do some personal inner work later, go do that. Whereas if you deny that you feel judgment or superiority, then you're resisting it, so it will persist, and likely at some point the other person will pick up on that and feel insulted. You are never bad for having certain thoughts and emotions. Actions and words that needlessly hurt others are bad, but you are never bad for just having certain thoughts and emotions. You can just observe whatever arises in you, even if it's a so-called bad thought or bad emotion. You don't need to judge any thought or emotion that arises within you. Only the strongest souls were allowed to be born on earth. And within that group of the strongest souls, you are the ones who have at least partially woken up. So even as you are right now, with your perhaps occasional judgments or feelings of superiority, even as you are right now, you are the strongest of the strong. Even as you are right now, you are fully, 100% worthy of love. You are completely and utterly and fully good enough, as you are right now. So it's fine to be currently imperfect, because even the imperfect you is more than good enough, and is fully worthy of love already. Now, let's turn to the second part of this message. If you have taken the COVID jab and are worried about that and you feel an urge to detox, then I also have a recommendation specifically for that. First, though, I want to note that I wouldn't go too far in the direction of viewing yourself as a purely physical being who can't help but fall ill if presented with a physical toxin. In fact, from our point of view, you're constantly being bombarded with toxins from all directions, and most of you aren't deathly ill. So it's just not true that you're a physical being who can't help but fall ill if presented with a physical toxin. Yes, the physical aspect does matter, however your body is quite resilient and quite good at healing and cleansing itself. And also, the mind and your beliefs matter very much too. If you believe that you are healthy and that you won't just roll over and die if presented with a toxin, then that will certainly help. Whereas if you're convinced that your body is a mechanical, physical machine and that it inevitably will stop working if presented with a toxin, then that belief may make you more likely to become unwell or even transition, also known as dying. So I don't recommend believing that if you or your friend got the COVID jab, then you or your friend may die at any time. That's just not true. Still, the physical domain does matter. So if you feel guided to get some kind of cure or detox for the COVID jab, then I recommend ozone therapy, also known as ozone treatment. To find an earth source supporting that, go to yandex.com. You spell that YANDEX.com. Then search for Natural News Ozone Treatments Reverse Blood Cell Clotting. If you want to do your own research, note that the search engine Yandex is much less censored than Google is. And that was it. I hope you took one or two things away from this message that are of benefit to you. I love you very much. I wish you a good week. Tunia or myself will talk to you again next week. Your star brother, Hakann.